What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? So welcome to Monday's episode. So Monday and Tuesday are our topics. Wednesday, we have a discussion, and then Fridays, we talk about everything else aside from cybersecurity, so movies, books, TV shows, things of that nature. But thank you for continuing to tune in. I saw a little bit of a spike last week, so it looks like more people are tuning in and listening. So that's always a great thing. Please leave us your feedback and comments. I know there were a couple of comments last week. I did not get a chance to get to those, so I'll make sure I reply back to those on YouTube. So I'll probably reply back before you see this episode. So timing wise, it works out. But I know I hyped up the Bills a lot last week, so I'm still wearing the hoodie, but we are out. We are out of the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen, but I felt it'd be disingenuous to not still represent the Bills, even though we are on the couch. So it is what it is. But without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. This first article comes from the Hacker News, and it's Ravi Lakshmanan, and it's Hive ransomware infrastructure seized in joint international law enforcement efforts. So we talked about this before, right? Like the ransomware as a service. And what ended up happening here was there was an operation. Like I said, it was multinational, right? Multi-international. I don't know how you say that, but it was a coordinated law enforcement effort involving 13 countries. And the 13 countries that did this, actually, I'll give those to you as well, was Canada, France, Germany, Ireland, Lithuania, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Romania, Spain, Sweden, the UK, and the US. So what ended up happening was from the U.S. side, the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI, they infiltrated the Hive database servers. And this was actually July of 2022. And they captured 336 decryption keys that were handed over to companies compromised by the gang, which effectively saved $130 million in ransom payments. So with this effort, what they ended up doing was they had the decryption keys. They went in there, got what they needed, and they went to these companies, was like, hey, on us, like, don't pay anything, right? And this is what we're trying to get to. We've actually done a couple articles on this, right? Like over in the UK, what they're trying to do with making it to where you don't pay these ransoms. It was something that came up in an article we did recently, actually, talking about the way that the US wants to go, actually doing legislation to actually go the same route, right? But yeah, 130 million in ransom payments they saved, right? So, but yeah, they out there getting these criminals, man. They also distributed 1,000 additional decryption keys to previous Hive victims, right? So they're out there just trying to help people and be like, look, don't not necessarily don't fall for this, but don't pay this money, right, to these cyber criminals, because it only makes it to where they want to keep doing this, right? So, but yeah, this Hive gang was actually they say that they're this was back in November of 2022. They were in the sixth spot, behind Royal, Lockbit, Alv, Beyondland, and LV, for having victims in the month of November, right? So in November of 2022, that's what they with their 11 victims, they were in 6th place. So that's kind of up there, right? So, and the fact that it's a gang and it's got multiple people, that's another good thing, right? So, but they're serious about getting these folks, right? So the U.S. Department of State, right, in an announcement that was in line with this, they were offering awards of up to $10 million for information that can help link the Hive ransomware group or other threat actors to foreign governments. So if they're like, hey, if you could tell us this is, if this was a part of, state actors working for North Korea, Russia, China, or something like that, 10 million, bam, right to you. You know what I mean? For information that's leading to that. So they're getting serious out there, y'all. They're sick of paying this money, right? You know what I mean? Having to pay in Bitcoin or whatever it may be, right? Dogecoin, whatever type of coin is out there. You know what I mean? They sick of having people pay for this stuff. So they're getting serious, y'all. So be mindful. If you out there doing wrong, they're not just going to sit back anymore and start paying you. You know what I mean? So, Ryan, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, definitely. Major blow. So not only does it take somebody else off the board, but it just shows, like, I believe this time last year or earlier, maybe the December of 20, what are we in, 20? So December 21, I think we talked about Hydra and how they were also broken up through similar means, right? Like Department of Justice seized their infrastructure. So, I mean, they're getting better at it. Again, it's an international effort. So it's becoming less lucrative, right? It's still very lucrative to do what they do. Don't get me wrong, but for the amount of work they're putting in versus what they're gaining, they're losing more and more money each year. So, like the article suggests, this comes at a bad time for the bad guys with the dip in ransomware payments down to 41%. You have the UK legislation making it illegal for you to pay them. The US is trying to follow suit. And we're just getting better at protecting endpoints, so to speak. Like I'm by no means I'm going to say we're getting better at cyber hygiene. I'm not going to even put that out there. But we're getting smarter at being sensitive to these matters, as well as we're in kind of recruiting our own cyber defense forces, so to speak. So the people who did this was very, very skillfully. Like they took their infrastructure, they took the negotiation portal, which is like their bread and butter, right? This is how we're charging people and obtaining our whatever currency they're going for. Now, like you said, it could be Doge, it could be Bitcoin, it could be I don't know, rupees. That's actual currency, right? Like it's not just in Zelda. There are rupees out there. I don't want to make anybody upset.
I think it's rubles, isn't it? Russian? Or
That's Russian, but there's no rupees because rupees is Legend of Zelda. But I think it's actual currency out there as well.
It might be India. Not you say that. It might be India.
Right. Not trying to offend, but what I'm saying is like multiple variations of how they get their money to then launder it and kind of clean it up so they can get away with these crimes. But 130 million is a lot of money to lose in the grand scheme of things, as well as you've lost all that infrastructure, right? So they were paying for that, right? So not only is it a blow to the profits, but it's also a blow to their bottom line, as because these gangs are corporations to a certain extent. So they have to meet certain margins to be able to pay their people. And as we talked about in the past, there's actual a court system on the dark webs where they can now ask for their money back, right? Like, hey, I put in this amount of service. However, in this case, who is it? It's not Hydra, because I just brought them up. Who's the gang this time?
Hive.
So they can come at Hive in their, I guess, C-suite of individuals and say, hey, I put in this work, you did not pay me. So that goes into it as well. And then there's no honor amongst thieves. So who's to say this 10 million ransom didn't go to somebody inside of the network, right? Who best to disrupt this major I guess not conglomeration, but just
crime syndicate
coalition of, of evildoers than someone on the inside, right? You've incentivized them, like, okay, I might not make this money on the back end because we're under suspicion. The feds are coming for us, but I can make a quick 10 mil and bounce out of there and get away scot clean. So there's a lot of stuff that's not within their interest at this point. Like this is just a bad time for bad actors on the interwebs, and that's good. That's good for all of us, right? Because they make up such a small minority. They just happen to be raking in millions of dollars every single time we talk about one of these major ransomware campaigns. So good on these 13 nations for stepping up their game. They didn't really say who was in the lead in this case, but they're all allies, and they all are suffering from the same, I guess, woes that the U.S. is when it comes to millions of dollars being pulled out of our corporations to pay for these ransoms and to get these keys, which thousands of keys were decryption keys were just given back out to those impacted. So again, great news story. Hopefully this continues. So they're number 6. So if you're 1 through 5, I would be very nervous at this point, especially if you're, because you would think that a lot of these people are contractors to a certain extent. So they might work for multiple ransomware gangs. And if Jimmy got caught up in this and his identity was blown, now Jimmy might become an informant against your cyber criminal syndicate, if you will. So I'm not going to say be wary. Like, I hope you get caught. So I hope that happens. But with all that being said, I think it's a great story. Please continue tuning in throughout the week. So Monday and Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion. Give you a little bit of a read ahead. So Tuesday we'll talk about how dozens of cybersecurity companies are also being impacted by the layoffs. So I said dozens, not tens of dozens and things of that nature. So don't be too worried, but it's an interesting topic nonetheless. And then Wednesday, we will discuss how the U.S. Air Force has selected Howard to be a partner for their technology for military systems and receive up to $12 million a year to do so for the next 5 years. So that'd be an interesting discussion as well. And then Friday, everything else. So definitely tune in for that as well. So hit us up at all of our social medias. They go by our name. You can hit me up personally. I'm at RAAS Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Clubhouse. And just continue to tune out through the week. Leave your comments, feedback, and all that good stuff. Stay safe, stay secure.